Two women are seen in this unsettling clip, unwinding and talking together at some location late at night. Behind where they're sitting lies a garden area shrouded in darkness, barely lit at all. Neither of them seems to notice anything out of the ordinary at first. Then, one of the women gets a nagging feeling that something isn't quite right, so she pulls out her phone and starts filming the space behind them. What the camera picks up goes unnoticed in the moment. It's only when the footage is played back later that something catches everyone's attention. See what their camera recorded.
Ada siapa?
Ada pocong. Nanti kalau pocongnya tiba-tiba di depan kita gimana?
Ampun.
Nah kalau misalnya dia bawa golok,
Ke kakinya ada sendal, langsung giniin baik.
ayo pulang. Gue besok nggak mau main lagi takut ada pocong. Jangan di videoin.
Wah, caper banget dah. Gaji siapa yang videoin? Lu jangan kegeeran.
Nanti mak gue gimana? Gue kan di rumah sendiri, Cok.
Bapak lu?
Bapak gue nggak mau tidur di luar. Gue takut tiba-tiba nongol.
Apalagi lu tidur
Apalagi
di
kan
ruang
ininya
tamu.
kan ini apa sih kayak bolong gitu.
Iya, terus habis itu
Nggak bisa ditutup. Bisa.
pakai horden.
Pakai anuan.
Ditutup gerbangnya.
Iya.
Tapi kan sebelah sono enggak.
Sebelah sana ditutup juga ada ini.
Ada pocong dong.
Bisa lewat kali dia.
Bisa
Lewat
mah.
kayu. Nanti kalau kayu bisa gua ke kamar mandi dia gini gimana?
Iya, kepleset nanti lu.
Iya.
Terus jatuh cinta memang manis, apalagi ada pocong di sini.
Lagian ngapain sih drama pocong ya Allah?
Karena kangen sama lu, Ego.
Banget Ayo kita pulang aja, kita main di rumah gua aja yuk, biar pocongnya hilang.
Yang tuh kalau
There in the garden, just behind the two women, a pale white shape is visible, completely still in the shadows. It doesn't look like a tree or anything you'd typically expect to find back there. At first impression, it resembles some kind of figure draped in white cloth, and plenty of viewers have drawn comparisons to a ghostly presence. What makes it even stranger is that the woman being filmed casually says the word ghost out of nowhere, even though, according to those involved, she had no idea the object was there while they were recording. She only spotted it herself after rewatching the video. Nobody has been able to explain with any certainty what that white shape lurking behind them actually was. A woman named Rosanna is lying in her bed when she manages to catch something deeply unsettling on film. Even though she's frozen with fear in the moment, she forces herself to keep recording, desperate to prove that something is genuinely wrong inside her apartment. Things have gotten bad enough that her children can no longer stay there with her, and even her pets seem to be picking up on whatever is going on. In one particular clip, her cat has a reaction that will send chills down your spine.
Hey! Hey!
That moment, along with several other disturbing incidents, is exactly why Rosanna made the call to keep her family away. But something occurred recently that didn't just reinforce that decision, it pushed her to abandon the apartment altogether. Rosanna says that at this exact moment, she could make out a dark figure appearing just on the other side of the door. Almost immediately afterward, she started feeling dizzy and disoriented, like she was on the verge of blacking out. There's no easy way to explain away what happened that night, even if the full truth is still uncertain. Rosanna has no intention of staying in that apartment much longer, but she's committed to keep recording everything she experiences until the day she finally moves out. A lone camper nestled deep within the Appalachian Mountains is jolted awake by mysterious knocking coming from just outside his shelter. When he'd first arrived, everything felt calm and undisturbed. He made his camp, soaked in the quiet of the backcountry, but the moment night took over, something shifted, and whatever was out there wasn't the kind of thing he could brush off and go back to sleep. Here's how it all began.
Damn, I meant to bring my REM pod. It's in the car, but I really don't want to go back and get it. Oh, I don't like that this leads right out to the back porch. Ooh, I don't like that. Should I go get my REM pod? And then we can, ask questions? Please tell me y'all heard that. Okay.
As the darkness closed in around him, strange sounds started creeping in from outside. Too rattled to rest, he got up to investigate, and during his search, he picked up what seemed like a deliberate tapping coming from somewhere beneath the floor. Unsettled but driven by curiosity, he placed his phone down and attempted to reach out to whatever presence might be lurking out there.
Somewhere.
He launched an EVP session and made an effort to make contact, but the moment he settled down, something far more chilling unfolded. See for yourself what the camera caught.
Okay. If there is anyone here who would like...
While he sat there, speaking into the darkness, a shadowy figure appeared to pass directly across the doorway right behind him.
Who would like to communicate with us? Please touch this red light here in front of me, and it will make noises, and then we can...
Shortly after, the sound of heavy footsteps reached his ears. He shot to his feet immediately, and the instant he moved toward the doorway, a low, guttural growl rumbled through the night, sending him scrambling back in pure terror. Trembling and barely holding it together, he grabbed his phone and aimed it at the entrance, convinced there was some kind of bear lurking just outside. The dread written across his face said everything words couldn't.
There's something over there.
But the nightmare still wasn't finished with him. Moments later, he heard something dragging itself across the roof above his head.
Hello?
Head north.
Oh, fuck! God damn it. I'm getting the fuck out of here. Something's on the fucking roof.
Not long after, he made out what appeared to be a silhouette standing on top of the shelter. That was all he needed to see. Overwhelmed with fear and running on empty, he bolted out into the darkness. So, what do you think was out there with him? In Saudi Arabia, officers were dispatched after a motorist called in a report about a woman seated in the middle of a highway, producing unsettling noises. The responding officers were clearly hesitant to get anywhere near her, as the circumstances seemed to point toward a jinn encounter rather than anything ordinary. According to the description accompanying the footage, the woman had been possessed, and it was the jinn itself communicating through her body, not the woman speaking of her own will. Within Islamic tradition, jinns are considered a separate species entirely, encompassing young and old, male and female alike. They are born of fire and hold the ability to transform into the shape of any living creature. They exist within a dimension invisible and inaudible to human senses, yet they are fully capable of watching humans and even seizing control of their physical form. Satan himself was said to be a jinn, one whom God expelled from paradise and cast down to earth. Getting back to the footage, the woman was ultimately taken into custody. A large number of viewers found the idea of genuine jinn possession hard to dismiss, arguing that nobody in their right mind would act this way given how harsh and unforgiving Saudi Arabia's legal system is. So what's your take? Why did this all unfold the way it did? A security guard pulls solo night shifts at a cemetery and crematorium that sit right beside one another. One evening, he decides to film his rounds through the crematorium part of the same grounds he patrols, so he can show his brother-in-law exactly what the place looks like and explain why it gets under his skin. Being alone there in the dead of night is unsettling enough, but knowing that human bodies are cremated in that very building takes the fear to a whole different level. Then, while he's still recording, this unfolds.
Lights, they turn off automatically at a certain hour. And I'll tell you right now, I'm gonna walk you through and I have a friend that works that he would see and hear things coming from these furnaces when they're burning the bodies. So when I'm walking through here, they usually put the urns out to send to the families. So when I'm walking here at night, I walk right by these urns that they put on these tables here. And then I come down, freaking out. Fuck.
Already on edge just from being in the building, things are about to get considerably worse. As he moves past the furnaces, the audio on his recording suddenly distorts and a sharp, loud knocking sound cuts through out of nowhere.
And I'll tell you right now,
What's strange is that this interference only kicks in at the exact moment he walks by the chambers. There's no real reason it should affect the audio like that. Then, one of the urn lids begins sliding open by itself, and within seconds, it actually tilts upward, as though someone is lifting it from underneath. Just that one lid, out of every urn in the room, moving as if guided by some unseen hand. The moment he registers what he's seen, the security guard spins around to bolt, and that's when he comes face to face with his absolute worst fear. The strip curtain at the far end violently parts down the middle, as though something just came barreling straight through it. That's all he needs. He turns on his heel, abandons his shift entirely, and doesn't stop until he's back home. He has no explanation for any of it. Whatever it was, something opened that urn, and the question of what that means for the remains inside is one nobody seems to want to answer. Could things escalate from here? Drop your thoughts below. An Armenian paranormal investigator by the name of Yerb Nakin has built quite a reputation for his fearless late-night excursions through derelict buildings. He streams many of these hair-raising adventures live, so his followers can witness everything in real time. And along the way, Yerb has documented some genuinely inexplicable poltergeist activity and bizarre phenomena. But on one particular night in March of 2026, he took on a challenge that would test every ounce of his courage. His target was a massive, long-abandoned psychiatric hospital, a hospital he chose to enter in the dead of night. As he pushes further into the crumbling corridors of the structure, the paranormal activity quickly becomes too intense to brush off.
Այնի լավ հասկացանք իմ համար չէր, բայց սա ում համար է։ Օրայսի ինգնել վրես ես կմեռնեի։ Ով է անել լուսամուտները։ Ստե լուսամուտ չի։ Այն ով էր։ Կգաս։ Այս ինչ որ նոր լուսամուտի մեջ տեսամ։ Օրո! Սիրտս կոյնով։
As Yerb carefully ascends a pitch-black staircase, a large, heavy piece of white wood that had been propped against a doorway on the second floor suddenly crashes directly toward him. It misses him by only a few inches. He manages to step inside the room, but finds it completely vacant. You caught that, didn't you? Then, as he peers out the second floor window, a pale white figure appears to be watching him from outside, before darting out of view almost instantly. Remember, they are on the second story of an abandoned building. Despite being visibly shaken, Yerb pushes forward, but whatever inhabits this place clearly isn't finished with him.
Հնարավոր է քեզ տեսնել։ Բացես որ խնդրեմ։ Նայեք, շուրջ բոլորս մենակ եմ։ Նայեք, իրոք շուրջ բոլորս մենակ եմ։ Վաղուց այստեղ բանտարկված։
Right before his eyes, a walker frame rolls across the hallway and disappears into a room entirely on its own. Jerb follows it in to take a closer look, but the room is completely deserted. Then without warning, a loud bang erupts behind him from the direction of a bathroom door. He swings his camera around just in time, and what it captures is genuinely unsettling. The door unlatches and swings wide open by itself, right there in front of him. It then continues to open and shut repeatedly before finally going completely still. At this point, the average person would already be sprinting for the exit, but Yerb makes the decision to carry on.
Alo.
He eventually arrives at a dark and seemingly lifeless hallway, only to be stopped in his tracks by the sound of a telephone ringing out loudly. This building has sat abandoned for more than a decade and has no electrical supply connected to it whatsoever. Whether the phone lines could even still be functional after all this time is anyone's guess. After allowing it to ring for a moment, he picks up the receiver to find out if something or someone is on the other end. Through a wall of static, he makes out what sounds like the voice of a young person speaking. Then the line goes dead without warning. Following this deeply unsettling final encounter, Yerb concludes that he has experienced more than enough and officially calls the investigation to a close. So what do you think is lurking inside this abandoned psychiatric hospital? These next clips come from a man named Derek, who lives in Jacksonville, Florida, on a property spanning over 300 acres of swampland land he says was once used as a native burial ground. His channel is normally focused on politics, philosophy, and general life topics, with nothing paranormal in sight. But over the last several days, he began uploading footage of bizarre incidents taking place around his land. His initial assumption was that someone might be sneaking onto the property. Then one night, while he was standing out on his porch keeping an eye on his chickens, something happened that shook him to his core.
I just walked off the porch and I came out here to check on the chickens. I just heard, first off, I heard my name. Second off, it sounded like somebody was saying, help me. Hold on. Hold on. Hey. Help. I need help.
You can clearly hear a voice calling out to him from somewhere deep in the tree line. He scans the area trying to pinpoint where it's coming from, but there's nobody out there. Visibly rattled, he retreats inside and locks up behind him. The following morning, he makes the decision to head back out and investigate the spot where the voice seemed to originate, and here's what unfolded.
So we are out here exactly where everybody said this thing was standing. This is the spot right here. Exactly this spot. There's the track. I see no footprints. So this is the exact spot right here, guys. Chickens, here the chickens in the background. So I don't know. This is in this area right here is where it was standing. Is where everybody said it was standing. I couldn't see it while standing just about over there. There we go. And so we keep this stuff like this locked. We keep stuff like this locked because, like I said, crackheads. Let's check to make sure it's locked. Door's locked. This is the trailer that I was worried about. Did you fucking see that, bro? Look, I'm telling you, bro. What the fuck? Okay, we're just gonna peek in.
He lingers outside for a bit, debating whether he should arm himself before going any further. Clearly uncertain about what might be waiting for him, but ultimately he pushes forward and goes in to take a look.
There's fucking walking around in this motherfucker, bro. Hello? Guess we're gonna have to climb in this motherfucker. Probably should have brought my gun. Hello?
When he finally gets in there, the place is completely empty, and somehow that makes the whole thing even more disturbing. A little later, he went on to share some additional details about the history of the property. See for yourself what he had to say.
300 acres of swampland. Just a little background for everybody. 300 acres of swampland. We bought it for a penny an acre from the paper mill that was here back in the 1800s. The paper mill stole it from the Native Americans. Everything that everything is built around out here is on top of Indian burial ground. So I'm not the only one to have had this experience. Other people have had these experiences. You could just talk to the local people here in Dinsmore. They've had the same experiences out here. In fact, it's so bad. Police officers will draw straws or argue about who has to come down here when something happens. My family used to be crazy. It used a lot of drinking, drug use, and, you know, just abuse and stuff like that. So cops would be out here all the time, but they would not come on the property. They will only meet you.
So where do you stand on this? Is something genuinely supernatural going on out there on his land? Or is there a rational explanation that could account for all of it? Drop your thoughts down in the comments below. Scrolling through TikTok, something I'll openly admit I sink way too many hours into, I came across a clip that stopped me dead in my tracks. It was posted on an account called user4732exp, and it's the only video that account has ever uploaded. The footage supposedly captures paranormal activity. The man filming was standing across the street from his own home, pointing his camera at his RV, when he recorded something that apparently made his blood run cold.
Vivo solo en mi casa, salí para afuera y la puerta se empezó a mover sola. Miren, pero nadie me cree cuando les digo. Nadie me cree. No hay nadie ahorita ahí. Vi que se asomó algo y... Ese es mi perro, pero mi perro no puede alcanzar a hacer eso. Se apagaron las luces y están prendidas.
The moment he began filming, a dark, shadowy figure materialized and appeared to step inside the van. The three men watched on. Then, the figure seemed to sense it was being observed. It paused, leaned back into frame, and appeared to stare directly at the man holding the camera from across the street. The person filming was visibly shaken, barely able to process what he had just seen. One thing seemed absolutely clear to him: whatever had just shown up outside his home that night was something he couldn't easily explain away. This footage was filmed by a dad named Ricky, who caught something deeply troubling while monitoring his young son. Ricky says he first noticed something was off when he heard his son whispering inside his bedroom, seemingly carrying on a conversation with no one visible. Unsettled and curious, he hit record. When Ricky asked his son about it, the boy insisted he could see a figure standing in the corner of the room, someone completely invisible to Ricky. What made it even harder to shake was that the child later drew a picture of this figure, describing it as a man suspended from a rope. Initially, Ricky tried to chalk it up to an overactive imagination, but his unease kept building as these episodes continued to happen. On one particular night, Ricky decided to set up a camera in the room to see what was really going on. What it recorded left him stunned. As the boy rested quietly on the bed, his legs were suddenly jerked downward as though something unseen had grabbed hold of them. The child, visibly frightened, scrambled to his feet and bolted out of the room. After going back through the footage, Ricky became firmly convinced that something beyond explanation was taking place, paranormal or otherwise. This incident stands as one of the most spine-chilling on record. On the evening of June 16, 2026, commuters traveling along Loop 20 in Laredo, Texas had nothing on their minds but the drive home. Traffic moved at its usual pace, and there was absolutely no indication that one of the most jaw-dropping moments ever recorded on a dash camera was mere seconds from unfolding thousands of feet above them. A private business jet was battling a serious problem that could no longer be managed. The aircraft had taken off from Los Cabos, Mexico, with Austin, Texas as its destination. But somewhere along the route, the crew reported mechanical issues and declared an emergency. Rather than push on toward Austin, they redirected toward the nearest viable option, Laredo International Airport. Nobody on the ground had any idea this was happening. Then, air traffic controllers lost all contact with the jet. With communication gone, they could only hope the crew still had enough time to make the runway. But the aircraft kept descending, and it was heading toward the last thing any pilot wants to find below them, a highway packed with moving cars. The impact came without a moment's notice. Dash camera footage caught the jet clipping a light pole before it broke apart and burst into flames. One instant, vehicles were rolling along normally. The next, drivers found themselves staring at something that barely seemed real. What took place in the moments that followed is a big part of why this footage spread across the internet so fast. Rather than retreating to safety, a number of motorists ran straight toward the burning wreckage. Some grabbed hammers, crowbars, and whatever else was sturdy enough to tear through the mangled sections of the plane. The risk was clear to everyone, yet so was the possibility that survivors might still be inside. Through the thickening smoke, rescuers managed to pull one pilot free, then the second. Shortly after, 3 teenagers made their way out of the wreckage under their own power. Witnesses recalled the bewilderment that set in if the teenagers had gotten out. Where were the remaining passengers? Rescuers kept working through the cabin until they reached the last victim. Authorities later confirmed that Joshua Baer, the 50-year-old founder of Austin-based technology investment firm Capital Factory, had died in the crash. Those who knew him described him as someone who had helped an enormous number of entrepreneurs get their ideas off the ground, and had poured his energy into supporting new ventures across Texas. The 5 other people on board survived and were transported to area hospitals. The driver of a car struck during the crash also made it out alive, something investigators would later describe as remarkably fortunate given exactly where the jet had come down. As emergency crews worked to secure the scene, a larger question started taking shape. How had a modern business jet, already committed to an emergency approach, ended up coming down just a couple of miles short of the airport? Investigators began reconstructing the flight moment by moment. The data showed the aircraft had climbed to around 43,000 feet before the crew flagged mechanical trouble and raised concerns about fuel levels. After choosing to divert, the jet dropped quickly, then eased off as though lining up for a routine landing. Every indication pointed to the runway being well within reach. Then, in the final moments of the flight, the aircraft veered off its intended track. Its last recorded radar position placed it roughly 2 miles south of the airport. What triggered that final deviation is still under active investigation. Specialists are now poring over the aircraft itself, its maintenance records, cockpit audio, weather data, and flight recorder information to piece together what happened during those crucial minutes. The accident also represents an extraordinarily rare moment for NetJets, the company that operated the aircraft. Owned by Berkshire Hathaway, NetJets has long been regarded as a benchmark for safety in private aviation, and this marks its first fatal accident in approximately 40 years of service. The rescue effort came with its own toll, as well 5 police officers required medical attention after inhaling heavy smoke while working to free those trapped inside the plane. Investigators are still working toward answers, but the footage captured that night already tells its own powerful story. With fire burning, chaos all around, and no certainty of what might happen next, total strangers made the choice to move toward the danger rather than away from it. Their decisions couldn't undo what had already gone wrong, but they almost certainly kept the death toll from being far worse. A Thai paranormal investigator, who goes by the name B, is a veteran of the supernatural, well known for venturing into derelict buildings and graveyards throughout the country. Although she typically brings a full team along, she sometimes tackles investigations completely alone in the middle of the night. She streams these unsettling expeditions live, so her followers can witness everything as it unfolds. But during one recent solo broadcast inside a deserted temple, things took a genuinely disturbing turn.
Yeah. พอชมเฮ้ยเดี๋ยวซูม in what is that who's that who's standing there wait I'm zooming up I'm not zooming in. Ow, my leg hurts. My leg got shocked. Was that a girl just now? Hey, someone was really standing there! Guys! It's a little girl! When I zoomed in, it was a little girl with a bob cut. I can hear crying, guys. I hear crying. All 3,300 of you, please tap the screen and report this for me. There's a crying sound.
The moment B steps inside, she immediately notices a small, child-sized figure lurking in the shadows and staring straight at her. The entity is strikingly pale, and when the footage is zoomed in, its facial features look severely distorted and nothing close to human. Pushing through her fear, B moves into the main hall, where she discovers a woman dressed head to toe in black, standing completely motionless. The pale childlike figure has now appeared right next to her, and both of them are doing nothing but silently watching B. She shifts the camera away for just a moment, and when she turns back, only seconds later, both figures have vanished without a trace. Then, out of nowhere, the childlike entity tears around her at a speed that's almost impossible to follow. It moves so quickly it's easy to miss entirely, but when the footage is slowed right down, we actually get a clear look at its face. What's revealed is horribly warped and unnatural, leaving little doubt that whatever this thing is, it is not human by any stretch of the imagination. This footage was posted to TikTok by a user going by the name Magical Poltergeist. After enduring years of frightening paranormal experiences, one man finally reached his breaking point. Convinced that his personal faith would be enough to shield him, he attempted to purify his home on his own, despite having no background in exorcisms or spiritual cleansing. Then one night, while he lay sleeping, something deeply unsettling unfolded. See for yourself what the camera captured.
Holy Spirit, te pido, Señor, que me proteja en el nombre del Padre, Hijo y Espíritu Santo. Hoy quiero leer este salmo. Thus says the Lord, your Redeemer, the Holy One of Israel. I am the Lord of the God, who teaches you the prophet, who leads you by the way you should go.
In the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, I command you to take these demons out of the house. In the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, I ask you to leave my house, please. I command you to leave the house in the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. I am reading the Father's prayers. Leave this house now. Leave in the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. I command you to leave right now. In the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Without warning, blood-curdling screams tore through the house. Pieces of furniture began rattling violently, and the temperature in the room dropped to an eerie chill. Fear swept through the space almost instantly, as a cross mounted on the wall slowly rotated on its own until it hung upside down. The man watched in absolute horror, and after that harrowing experience, he became fully certain that something demonic had taken up residence in his home, the foyer. In August 2025, the Reddit user known as ForSatanWorker8777 had been picking up on strange sounds echoing through their home for several weeks. The first couple of times it happened, they dismissed it just the house settling, or maybe noise drifting in from outside the front entrance. But as the incidents kept piling up, they couldn't shake the gnawing suspicion that something was aware of them, that something was doing this on purpose. So they propped their phone up at the top of the staircase and let it run. Here's the footage they ended up with, footage that left them visibly shaken. That is an enormous amount of activity packed into a single recording. Multiple objects shifting on their own, doors slamming, all of it concentrated in that one tight little area. Now, when paranormal researchers encounter this level of concentrated chaos, they tend to point toward what's known as a poltergeist, haunting a loud, disruptive, sometimes aggressive type of entity that appears to feed off surrounding energy. What makes it even more unsettling is that this kind of disturbance is frequently linked to one specific person in the household, referred to as an agent, who may be unknowingly fueling the activity without any awareness of it whatsoever. A second theory suggests that the foyer functions as a kind of spiritual choke point, a location where energies become trapped or continually pass through, which would explain why everything seems to ignite in that exact same corner every time. What adds credibility to ForSatanWorker8777's account is how they respond to what they've captured rather than growing numb to it. They calmly note that the single camera angle didn't do the scene justice, and mention they'll be setting up 2 cameras next time to capture a fuller picture. So what do you think? A classic poltergeist attached to someone under that roof? Or something else entirely? Drop your thoughts down in the comments. The YouTube channel Science and Signals, operated by someone who goes by Devil, decided to spend a night investigating a church with a well-established reputation for paranormal activity. This wasn't unfamiliar territory. They had explored the location numerous times before. Even with unsettling encounters already under their belts, they came back with fresh determination to dig deeper into the unknown.
Lights out thing.
Lights out?
Yeah.
Alright.
I feel like I should be in the back in case I can see everything.
I want to be up here in the front because I kind of want to be near the hallway so I can hear the hallway.
Alright. Lights out.
How do you want to do it for?
However long it takes.
30 seconds, 45 seconds?
I don't know, just
I
listen.
don't know how long I'm going to do it for. Alright, ready?
Yeah.
3, 2, 1, go. Yeah, now I feel like I can hear everything. Say something to us. Make us aware that you're here. For all we know, you're not even here. We're going to leave soon. If it seems like you're not here, then I guess you moved on, and we'll just leave. So if you don't want us to leave, better tell me something.
I'm not sure if it's just the church creaking or if that is something moving. But there's always something moving every time we come in here and start talking.
Out of the pitch black, an eerie voice cuts through the quiet, thickening the already oppressive energy hanging over the church. While moving through the darkness snapping photos, Dave stumbles onto something he wasn't expecting.
Dale. Dale, it's beside you.
What?
It's beside you.
Huh? What are you talking about?
To the right. It's
What?
in the picture. It's in the picture. It's to the right there.
Huh?
Right there.
Over here? Over here?
You heard it.
Are you serious, dude? What are you talking about?
Yes.
What do you see in the picture?
Yeah, I'll show you.
What are you talking about, dude?
I'll show you.
Shit, you ain't just tripping?
No.
Look.
Oh God. I'm gonna look at it. Gallery. That's right. This one. Right here. Look. That's you.
Uh-huh.
That's beside you.
What the hell is that? Over in that window right there? Oh,
I can't even make out what I'm looking at.
what the hell is that?
You said you heard something
That's
over
just
there.
some... Is that not... could that be like a shadow cast off the... Dude,
No, because I have other pictures of it not there. Hold on. There.
Dude. What the... Dude, I'm trying my best not to curse, but what is that? Like, that doesn't look like a...
When the images are reviewed, they show a dark, shapeless figure seated in an almost menacing posture, just a few feet away from where he was standing. The form appears in only a handful of shots before seemingly dissolving into thin air, leaving both men with far more questions than they came in with. Even after that unsettling discovery, Dave and his partner push things further by pulling out a spirit board, a tool long associated with dangerous spiritual contact. Their session, however, stays quiet, with no additional activity making itself known. That said, it's worth mentioning that these boards are widely cautioned against, given the belief that they can potentially invite unwanted and malicious presences through. This next clip was posted to YouTube by a man who explains that in the middle of the night, his dog began barking uncontrollably, which was completely out of character for the animal. On top of that, he could hear strange noises coming from just outside his home. The following morning, he pulled up his security camera footage to figure out what had gone on, and what he found left him both terrified and completely baffled. Judge for yourself what was lurking out there. The dog continued its relentless barking, and then without warning, a dark, semi-transparent shape darted rapidly across the frame. The man behind the video says he genuinely cannot explain what that figure was, and he's fully convinced that what showed up on that footage was an actual ghost. So what do you make of it? A man says he's been dealing with a series of increasingly unsettling incidents inside his own house. He claims it all started late at night when an overwhelming sense of being watched in his living room pushed him to pull out his phone and hit record.
Can you talk to me? Let me know you're here. Okay, so you are here. What do you want? I'm not scared of you. Show yourself. Show yourself to me. I want to see who you are. No, I want to see who you are. Leave me alone. If you can't show me who you are, I want you to leave my house. No, go.
A large, heavy object in the room then begins moving by itself, while the camera is rolling, not gently, not in a way you could chalk up to a draft, but with a kind of deliberate force, as though whatever was there wanted to make its presence known. And if that weren't already enough, things apparently took a turn for the worse just days later. While he was in the kitchen late at night, he says he suddenly heard what sounded like a woman screaming somewhere outside, and without thinking twice, he swung the camera toward the window to try to track down the source of the sound.
I'm really tripping out now. Something was looking at me through the window, and I heard that lady crying again, coming out of the kitchen. I'm freaking out. I ain't going by the basement. There's something in this house with me. There's something in here. I'm telling you.
But what he claims came next was even more difficult to make sense of. Shortly after that footage ended, multiple objects around the house were reportedly hurled to the floor on their own, sending him fleeing from the room in a state of pure terror. For a lot of people, spontaneous object movement, unexplained sounds, and a pattern of escalating incidents are all hallmarks typically linked to alleged poltergeist cases, and if that's truly what was unfolding in that home, it seems like whatever was there had only just started making itself known. While packing up her handmade goods for a Las Vegas trade show, a woman and her business partner suddenly pick up on something deeply unsettling coming from directly beneath them.
Deal with this? I have had not enough coffee to deal with this? Honestly, this is coming from the dream. Okay. That's some creepy word. Do you hear it? Where is that? Who is that? What the f is going on around here?
When my biz partner decides to join the siren call.
Obnoxious as hell.
The two of them can clearly hear what sounds like singing drifting up through the sewer drain below. Keep in mind, this was recorded at 5:45 in the morning, which makes the idea of someone being down in the sewers at that hour not only unlikely, but genuinely baffling, let alone the fact that they'd be singing. Now, Mara isn't out here making any supernatural claims. Her entire TikTok presence has nothing to do with the paranormal, not a single video. She simply shared this one bizarre, unexplained moment that she happened to capture. So the question still stands, what exactly is that? And what could possibly be down in a sewer drain at 5:45 in the morning, making sounds like that? As of right now, nobody has a solid answer. TikTok user going by MG claims he had gone 2 full days without sleep after repeatedly noticing something unsettling lurking in his bedroom. He initially chalked it up to his mind playing tricks on him from exhaustion, but the nagging sense that something was concealed near his closet just wouldn't leave him alone. Eventually, he grabbed his phone and hit record. Judge for yourself what the camera picked up. On the surface, it would be easy to write MJ off as overtired, spooked, or seeing things in the dark, but commenters almost immediately spotted something inside that closet that made the clip far more difficult to explain away. In case you didn't catch it the first time, here's another look. A pale, face-like shape appears to be peering out from within the closet. It doesn't move closer or produce any sound, it just stays there, half swallowed by the darkness, as if silently observing him through the narrow gap in the door. Sure, it could be a mask, a person crouched behind the door, or something deliberately set up for views, but the way it holds perfectly still within those shadows makes the whole thing genuinely hard to shake. After spotting it, MG says he bolted from the room, though he eventually worked up the nerve to go back and check whether whatever he'd seen was still there. According to him, it was. This is the footage he captured on his return. The room is noticeably darker in the second recording, yet that same pale shape appears to be sitting in virtually the same spot as before. Whatever it is, it doesn't seem to have shifted at all. It just lingers inside the closet, still and silent, as though waiting. So, was this nothing more than a mask propped inside a closet? Was somebody deliberately hiding behind that door? Or did Minji actually document something far more disturbing? Because if he truly was alone in that room, what exactly was staring back at him from the darkness? A TikTok creator named Kay, who posts under the handle YourFaveBipolar, works the night shift in a lockdown hospital ward somewhere she's chosen to keep private. One particular evening on the job though, she says something on the security feed stopped her cold. Kay claims she was going about her shift when something strange caught her eye on one of the monitors. See for yourself what the camera picked up. All throughout the recording, a peculiar humanoid shape can be spotted partially concealed behind a support pillar. Rather than moving freely through the ward, the figure seems to be gripping the pillar while performing a series of bizarre, jerky motions. What struck most viewers as particularly disturbing was the way it repeatedly edges out from behind the pillar, then retreats, shifting in ways that are hard to explain. You can't make out a lot of fine detail, but the shape lingers on screen long enough to make a real impression. Some people who watch the clip are convinced it captures something genuinely supernatural, while others think a more grounded explanation probably exists. Regardless of which side you fall on, it's the figure's strange behavior that has kept this footage circulating. Sadly, Kay never appears to have uploaded any follow-up content addressing what the figure turned out to be, so the whole thing remains unresolved. Whatever that camera recorded that night, it's not the kind of thing you shake off easily. So what's your take on what was lurking behind that pillar? Something beyond explanation, or is there a rational read on this one? Drop your thoughts down in the comments. Our first clip comes from a restaurant's security feed, where a staff member goes about their cleaning routine without a care in the world until something completely out of nowhere changes that. Later on that very same day, a separate camera elsewhere in the restaurant picked up something that managed to be even more disturbing. The footage caused such a stir that it reportedly made its way onto Ecuadorian television. Ever since, plenty of people have been convinced the place is haunted, though not everyone is buying it. Now that you've seen it for yourself, which side are you on? The following video was recorded by a man inside his own home during the day, and from the first second, you can tell something has already happened before he even hits record. He's visibly shaken, breathing hard, phone in hand, urging anyone watching to just listen. A series of high-pitched sounds, almost like small animal yips, are coming from behind a closed door at the end of a hallway. But that's not what has him frozen. Something else caught his attention first. He calls out a name, gets no answer, and then a sound stops him cold. Watch.
Oh my gosh, listen to this. Listen. Listen. Yo. Carolina! Oh! Molly, come here! She's in the other room. Oh my gosh. Hey, who's up here? Hey, who is up here? Oh my God. Yo! Oh my gosh, man. What was that? Yo. What? I have never had that happen before, ever. Oh my gosh! Dude! Ah! No way! In God's grace!
That voice, soft, clear, distinctly female or childlike, simply says hello in an empty house, in broad daylight. He doesn't brush it off. He opens the door, climbs a steep wooden staircase into an unlit attic, and calls out asking who's there, knowing full well he shouldn't be getting an answer. What he gets instead is worse. A soft whisper in the dark makes him physically flinch, and then a loud, sharp thump sends him screaming down the stairs and out of the attic entirely. He even includes a text note in the video explaining the footage wasn't cut when he opened the door, which tells you he knew people would ask. Some viewers think the voice is a residual sound, a kind of audio imprint left behind by someone who once lived there. The idea that certain spaces hold onto fragments of the people who passed through them. Others aren't so sure. A disembodied voice that responds to your presence, that greets you, suggests something far more aware than a simple echo. Residual hauntings don't say hello back. Whatever spoke to him in that hallway seemed to know he was there, and then followed him upstairs to make sure he knew it too. The following video was recorded by a woman who was alone in her room late at night, doing nothing more than lying in bed with her back to the window, the kind of ordinary evening that shouldn't leave anyone shaking. But something outside began making itself known, and whatever it was, it didn't want to be ignored. She had her phone propped up and recording when she first noticed a dark, smudged shape visible through the white cellular blind behind her. Faint, amorphous, but with an outline that looked unsettlingly close to a hand pressed flat against the glass from outside. She tried to pretend she didn't see it. Watch. The shape disappears abruptly from the blind, and almost immediately, 3 loud, distinct taps come from the window, hard enough to make her gasp. She whispers to herself, trying to stay calm, repeating that it's okay. It didn't stop. When she goes quiet and tries to ignore it entirely, the tapping comes again, identical in rhythm and force to the first set, as if whatever was out there knew she was still listening. Then a long, grinding scrape follows. A dragging, creaking sound that lasts nearly 10 seconds and has no obvious source. Her composure breaks completely. She's crying, whispering stop over and over, and the raw fear in her voice is hard to dismiss. Some viewers think the tapping and scraping point to something deliberately interactive, not random noise, but a response to her behavior, escalating each time she went quiet. Others aren't so sure, but the pattern is difficult to explain away, and she left her phone recording for another hour afterward. Nothing else happened that night. The following night, it came back. Watch.
No. Okay. It's back. It has never done this 2 nights in a row. Ugh. You were telling me to go yell at it and to look. Okay. Okay. I stole this bar light from my mom. You wanna mess with me? Fine. I'll do what you look like. There's a light facing the window. Okay. Leave me alone! Nothing's there. You heard the tapping, right?
Reports like this often appear in paranormal case files as responsive phenomena, instances where unexplained activity seems to intensify the moment someone acknowledges it or attempts to investigate. In folklore, repeated knocking or tapping at windows is sometimes interpreted as an unseen presence trying to draw attention or gain a response, particularly when no source can be found outside. Of course, there are ordinary possibilities too. Small animals, shifting materials, or sounds echoing through an enclosed window well can sometimes create surprisingly loud knocks, but I'll leave you to be the judge of this one. Now in this next clip, a woman is asleep in a recliner at around 2:30 in the morning while a security camera watches over the living room, and that's when something decides to make itself known. The house has apparently had activity before, enough that whoever set up that camera was already expecting something. Watch.
So this is like the Dr. Jail world. Crazy house. Okay. This is like the Amityville house. So this is like the Dr. Jail world. This is the
A hat resting on the newel post at the base of the staircase suddenly tips and falls to the floor. No breeze, no one nearby, no visible explanation. Anthony's reaction is immediate, calling out that something's fallen before he even sees the replay. Skeptics will point to a thin string or a loose balance, but if you watch the slow motion replay closely, the hat doesn't slide. It tips, almost deliberately, like something nudged it. Some viewers think this is exactly the kind of low-level activity associated with a presence that wants to be noticed rather than feared. So, what do you think that was? Now, in this next clip, a young girl is standing in her family's living room at night, clutching a gray blanket, and what she's describing to the woman filming her is hard to shake. The Christmas stockings are still on the banister, the tablet's playing a cartoon in the background. It's an ordinary evening in every way except one. She'd just seen something. Watch.
What did you say? What was it?
It was a black thing.
How? Well, it wasn't the cat? Was it the cat? You saw it just now? When did you see it? The size of Daddy? Just now you saw that? It acted like you? What did it look like?
It's the same kind of deal, but it just looks longer.
London.
In her own words, she describes a black figure, way bigger than the family cat, the size of her dad, but longer. And her expression while she says it is what gets people. She's not performing. She's scanning the room between every answer, glancing toward a doorway just off camera, and at the very end, she pulls the blanket up to her face and whispers, barely audible, "It's still going." No figure appears on camera. Nothing moves, but if you watch her eyes track that doorway, it becomes very difficult to tell yourself she's imagining it. So what exactly did she see? This next video was recorded inside what appears to be a hospital CCU, a coronary care unit. Filmed at night from what looks like a nurse's station, the camera pointed through an open doorway into a dark, unoccupied room. According to whoever filmed this, the sight on the other side was enough to stop them cold. The room is empty. No patient, no staff. But the electronic hospital bed inside is raised to an almost completely vertical angle, its control panel glowing blue, an amber light pulsing steadily near the floor. Watch. That bed position isn't a resting state. It's the kind of angle you'd only see during an active procedure, not sitting untouched in an empty room in the middle of the night. If you look at the lights beneath the frame, they suggest the bed's systems are running, as though it responded to something no camera could pick up. Some viewers think a bed malfunction or a forgotten setting explains it. Others aren't so sure. Hospital equipment that activates on its own, in an empty room at that hour, is harder to walk away from. What do you think was in that room? This next clip was recorded late at night by a man who came downstairs for a glass of water, a completely ordinary moment that quickly became anything but. Standing in his dimly lit kitchen, filming from behind a tall shelving unit packed with glasses and mugs, he starts hearing something that stops him cold. A steady, rhythmic knocking, clear and deliberate, coming from the door that leads directly into his tattoo studio. He explains in a hushed, uneasy voice that the door doesn't connect to the street at all. It opens into a closed, private workspace. There's no reason anyone should be on the other side. Listen closely.
Bajé a tomarme un poco de agua y empecé a escuchar claramente cómo están tocando la puerta de enfrente. Esa puerta no da con la calle, esa puerta da a donde yo hago los tatuajes, al negocio. Y si están tocando no hay nadie, Igual también escuché ruidos aquí, pero no alcancé a grabarlos.
Some believe this kind of rhythmic knocking, tied to a specific closed-off space, points to a residual presence, energy that doesn't know it no longer belongs there. Others think it's something more aware, and the fact that it stopped when he walked away, then started again when he returned, makes the second theory harder to dismiss. This next clip comes from inside a home in Brazil, where a group of people are gathered in a sparse, concrete-floored room lit by a single overhead bulb, the kind of setting that leaves nowhere for anything to hide. A man is holding a smartphone to film, and from the very first second of the recording, the voices in the room are already panicked. Women shouting in Portuguese, screaming, "What is this? The things are moving," and "rebuke it." Words that suggest whatever started this had already been going on before the camera began rolling. The room is simple. A stove against the back wall, a small fan on a plastic stool, a bucket and a bag of produce sitting in the corner. Nothing should be moving on its own. Watch. In under 30 seconds, the oven door swings open with no one near it. A long-handled tool falls from the wall, and then the bucket, the bag, and the fan are violently thrown from the corner into the center of the room. Not knocked, not tipped, but thrown. Then the propane gas canister slides several feet across the bare concrete floor on its own. The camera whips around to show a young woman with long dark hair crying hysterically, her face completely overtaken by terror, while another person holds a second phone up to film her reaction. The word poltergeist gets used casually online, but in serious paranormal research, it describes something very specific, a phenomenon defined not by a haunting tied to a place, but by chaotic, violent physical disturbance, often centered around a particular person rather than a location. Some researchers believe the person at the center is unknowingly generating the energy themselves, a kind of psychic discharge, while others believe something external is drawn to them. Brazil's own folklore has its own framework for this kind of chaos. Entities like the corpo seco, a restless force that refuses to be still. Whether any of that applies here, what you can't explain away so easily is the propane canister. It's heavy, it slid, and nothing in that room was anywhere near it. The following video was shared by a woman who's genuinely searching for answers, hoping that someone out there might recognize the signs of what she's dealing with. For a while now, she's noticed a very specific and unsettling pattern involving her dog. Almost every single day, around the same time, her 6-month-old puppy suddenly starts barking intensely at one exact direction in the house. Not just casual barking, but focused, alert, almost defensive barking. What makes this strange is that about 5 minutes later, he suddenly stops, goes completely quiet, and then immediately looks around for her as if checking whether she noticed it too. This routine has repeated itself night after night, always the same direction, always the same behavior. One evening, she was sitting calmly when her dog climbed onto her lap, chewing on a bone, relaxed and content. Suddenly, this happened. Some believe he could be reacting to subtle sounds we can't hear, like changes in air pressure, pipes, or even wildlife outside the walls. But others weren't convinced, especially because of how consistent the timing is and how focused his attention seems to be. As for solutions, viewers offered a wide range of ideas. Some advised checking the space thoroughly for logical explanations, vents, rodents, or structural noises, just to rule them out. A few suggested cleansing the space, whether spiritually or simply by changing the energy in the room, while many stressed one thing above all else: pay attention to the dog. Because whatever he's reacting to it every night, at the same time, in the same place. And until she figures out why, this situation remains deeply unsettling and very much unexplained. This next clip was recorded inside Selma Mansion in Norristown, Pennsylvania, a location that many locals already avoid after dark. The mansion has long been surrounded by rumors, stories of former residents who never really left, reports of unexplained footsteps echoing through empty hallways, doors slamming on their own, and voices heard coming from rooms no one has entered in years. Some say the upper floors are the worst, especially the 3rd floor, where people claim the air suddenly feels heavier and breathing becomes difficult for no reason. On March 29, 2025, a group of urban explorers decided to investigate the mansion for themselves. Despite knowing its reputation, they went in prepared, setting up multiple cameras throughout the house before settling in for the night. While placing equipment in other areas of the mansion, a loud bang suddenly echoed through the building, sharp enough to stop everyone in their tracks. When they checked the footage, they realized the sound came from the bathroom on the 3rd floor, where one of the cameras had been left running. Watch closely. Skeptics argued it could be old pipes, structural shifts, or even wind, but that explanation doesn't easily account for the voice, the pacing of the footsteps, or the very human-sounding breath caught on audio. And considering this happened on the 3rd floor, an area already known for activity, many believe the explorers may have wandered into a space where whatever lingers there doesn't like being watched. So, was this just the mansion settling? Or did Selma Mansion make it very clear that they weren't alone that night? You decide. In this next video, a man believes he's being tormented by something far more sinister than a simple haunting, something he's convinced is a demon living inside his home. And honestly, after seeing everything he's documented, it's hard not to understand why he feels that way. For months now, he says he'll leave the house for work or errands, only to return and find it completely trashed. Tables flipped upside down, chairs thrown across rooms, kitchen equipment scattered across the floor as if someone deliberately went through the house in a rage. One night, while recording a video to explain what he's been experiencing, things suddenly escalated. Watch this.
Guys, so it's been very horrible. I have been experiencing some non-stop shit. You gotta be kidding me. What the shit? What the is that sound? What the Did I know they not just move? I know that they not just move, y'all. Shit! Oh shit! In the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, I ask every demon to leave my house immediately. Immediately. I want every demon to leave this house immediately. Immediately. In the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. Leave my house now. The was that? I swear to God, and guys, this is crazy. Swear to God. What the shit! Holy shit! Oh shit! Holy shit! Holy I'm getting the out of here. Oh shit!
This isn't subtle movement or quiet noises in the background. When something moves, it moves hard. If it rocks a chair, it does so violently. If it rattles a door, it slams and shakes it with force. Viewers quickly began weighing in with their theories. Some believe this could be a case of a highly aggressive poltergeist feeding off fear and emotional stress. Others argue that the destructive nature, the escalation, and the way the activity responds directly to him speaking points to something darker, possibly a demonic attachment rather than a spirit tied to the house itself. As for solutions, people urged him to stop engaging altogether, to avoid provoking whatever it is. Some warned that labeling it a demon could make things worse, but others believe he may already be past that point. So what do you think? Is this truly a demon, or is there another explanation behind the violence in his home? Now, doll collectors are often misunderstood. To most people, collecting dolls sounds harmless, nostalgic, even comforting. But what many don't realize is that some collectors actively seek out dolls with history. Dolls that were loved intensely, abandoned suddenly, passed through multiple owners, or tied to trauma. In this clip, a woman who openly documents her collection of dolls with deep and unsettling backstories shares what happened after acquiring a particularly infamous one. The doll is known as Raggedy Ann Janet, located in the UK and already surrounded by disturbing rumors long before she ever laid eyes on it. Previous owners had reportedly complained about unexplained noises, objects shifting, and an overwhelming feeling of being watched, especially at night. Despite the warnings, she felt drawn to Janet and eventually brought the doll into her home. Almost immediately, she began noticing classic poltergeist-style activity. Objects would move without explanation. Doors creaked open on their own, and the most unsettling part, these events didn't feel random. They felt deliberate, as if something was testing boundaries, pushing limits, and making its presence known. Despite knowing all these, she wanted to confirm.
So Janet's been with us for a few days. Bobby's dropped her off. A few things have been moving around this room lately. Janet, is it you that's doing it? Oh my god, God, thank you.
For her, the signs were enough. Janet wasn't just another piece in her collection. Something about this doll felt active, aware, and intrusive. And now the question remains, is Janet simply an object carrying residual energy from past owners? Or did bringing her home invite something that was never meant to follow? Either way, the activity surrounding this doll has left viewers deeply unsettled. And until more updates are shared, this case continues to raise an uncomfortable question about how much of the past we unknowingly invite into our homes. This next video is an update from the same man who previously shared how everything in his apartment changed the moment he brought a set of old toys home. Watch closely.
Se sigue escuchando, la verdad ya no soporto estar aquí. Ya no aguanto. ¿Qué será? No hay nada, raza. Esto ya se está saliendo de control, raza. Ya no puedo estar aquí, raza.
As he moves through the apartment trying to locate the source of the noise, a figure is briefly caught on camera. Even though something in him feels like the toys are connected, he wants clearer proof, something undeniable. But viewers say the signs have been there all along. For example, take a look at one of the nights he couldn't sleep at all.
Raza, son las 3 de la mañana, se siguen escuchando muchos ruidos allá afuera. Quieren abrir la puerta, raza. ¿Qué está pasando? Ay, Dios mío. Ay, Dios mío, líbrame del mal. Desde que compré ese espejo, raza. Ay.
What worries him the most is that whatever's in his apartment doesn't seem anchored to a single location. It chooses different areas, almost like it's rotating spots. One night, it was his bedroom. Watch.
Se escucha que están rasguñando abajo de la cama. No hay nadie, raza, a la madre. ¿Qué rollo? ¿Qué está pasando?
Something was scratching under his bed, and while some suggested the mirror near his bed could be acting as a trigger, that theory started to fall apart after this next clip surfaced.
Quieren prender la luz, raza. Esto está saliendo de control, raza. No se escucha que le pegan al tanque allá afuera. Esto se está saliendo mucho de control, raza. No sé qué está pasando, la verdad, raza. Pero a ese tanque le pegan. Ya es el segundo día desde que están pasando estas cosas y alguien que me pueda ayudar, déjenme en los comentarios, por favor. Gente, esto ya se salió de control, gente. Ya no puedo más aquí, gente. Ayuda. ¿Qué quieres? Déjenme en paz. ¿Qué quieres? ¿Quién eres? ¿Quién eres? ¿Qué quieres?
At this point, the activity is no longer subtle. The voice he hears at night is clearer and deeply unsettling. He's reached the point where he locks himself in one part of the apartment at night, afraid of what he might encounter if he walks into another room. And what makes this even more disturbing is the pattern. Whatever's in the apartment seems to choose where it stays. For days, it stayed in the kitchen, then it shifted to the laundry room. Now, it appears to have claimed the bathroom.
Están tocando la puerta del baño. Desde que compré este espejo están pasando todas las cosas. Mamá.
He's asking for help, desperately, but most viewers are saying the answer is already right in front of him. Get rid of the dolls. But is it really that simple? Are the dolls the source? Or are they just vessels for something that was already looking for a way in? In this next clip, a woman named Haley set out on what was supposed to be a calm, grounding escape into the Appalachian wilderness, a place known for its beauty, isolation, and deeply rooted folklore. But not long into her walk, something felt off.
I just realized this is like the perfect place to come and sit and smoke. Cause look at this. Sit right here. Hell yeah. This is my view. Y'all, a cigarette right now. I don't even smoke cigarettes, but it warm you up, you know? I'm cold. I felt like there's somebody behind me, but so this is as close as I'm going to get, but y'all can see it's like angled and it goes into the mountain. It doesn't look like it, but it's a little bit more deeper here. My feet would get wet, and these shoes, yeah, no, and it's cold. But yeah, I'm about to head out of here because my feelings been, I don't know, it don't feel right now. But yeah, I don't have service. No, this is the worst part about exploring here is when you get like that when you get the feeling that you're being watched or followed. You can't, it's a little bit of a ways to get back to where you came from. Over there.
If you listen carefully, a voice can be heard quietly saying, "Hey." What makes this moment especially unsettling is that the voice sounds disturbingly similar to Haley's own. At the time she was recording, she didn't hear it at all. Instead, what she felt was something harder to ignore, a sudden sensation that someone was standing directly behind her. In paranormal folklore, especially in Appalachian legends, encounters like this are often linked to something known as a mimic, entities said to imitate human voices to lure people into responding. That's why many believe the worst thing you can do in situations like this is acknowledge the voice, especially out loud. Responding is believed to give whatever's their permission, or at the very least confirmation that you heard it. Some say mimics rely on familiarity, using your own voice or the voice of someone you trust to lower your guard. Others believe they test boundaries first, watching how you react before escalating, and then there are those who think these encounters aren't meant to chase you, but to mark you. So was this just an audio coincidence paired with anxiety in an isolated place? Or did Haley narrowly avoid something far more disturbing by trusting her instincts and leaving when she did? I'll leave you to be the judge on this one. The following video was recorded by a young man who, by the time he started filming, already knew something was deeply wrong. You can hear it in the first words out of his mouth, that shaky, nervous admission that everything was going downhill fast. He's inside a bathroom, holding his camera, the warm light catching the walls and the towel rack and the mirror like any ordinary room. Except he's moving the camera like someone who doesn't know where the threat is coming from, which direction to watch, what to prepare for. He even says he needs to find a weapon. That alone tells you everything about the state he's in. Watch.
I don't know what's going on, but like, everything's going downhill. I need to find a weapon. No, 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 no! Get away! No! Get away! Get! No! No!
Just before the lights suddenly cut out, a figure appears to peek for a few seconds. Then everything goes dark. Almost immediately, the knocking starts, then a rapid series of heavy blows, as though someone, or something, is trying to force its way inside. Some viewers believe the peeking figure could have been another person in the house, briefly caught by the camera before stepping away, while the knocking may have come from a family member or someone outside the room. Others focused on the sequence of events instead. The figure appears, the lights fail, then the knocking begins. In paranormal folklore, doorways have long been regarded as thresholds, places of transition where encounters are said to occur more frequently than in open spaces. Whether symbolic or purely coincidental, many stories describe unexplained figures lingering at entrances before making their presence known through knocks, taps, or other attempts to draw attention. Whether this was an elaborate prank, an unfortunate coincidence, or something far more unsettling remains impossible to prove. In this next clip, a man inside what appears to be a residential space has been dealing with something he describes as a haunting, and on this particular night, whatever's been following his household made itself impossible to ignore. Watch.
Oi.
He pushes through into a dark, unfinished room and then out into an even darker space, the camera light sweeping wildly across bare concrete and cluttered walls, while that wailing never breaks, never shifts in tone, never reacts to his presence. Some viewers immediately pointed to La Llorona, a figure rooted in Latin American folklore, described as a weeping woman whose cries are said to draw people toward her rather than away. Others think the audio was layered in after the fact, noting how clean and consistent the sound is regardless of how far he moves. But if it's simply an effect, why secure the door with a nail? The following video was recorded by a woman who was home alone at night when she began hearing sounds she couldn't immediately explain. And what she captured on camera has left a lot of people genuinely unsettled. She's lying in bed in a dimly lit bedroom, smartphone in hand, when she mentions hearing something strange, possibly an owl outside. Watch.
Okay. I don't know if that was an owl. Or what that was. Why does this shit always happen when I'm home alone? You know what one of my fears is? Because this is the second floor, and somebody's gonna climb up that tree and like come in through this window, or like I just open up these curtains and there'll be somebody freaking staring at me. I can't do it. I'm fine. You're fine. Everything's fine. You look. You go out first. Is it good? The coast clear? Oh, pee my pants, bro.
A deep, distorted male voice seems to come from somewhere inside the room itself. What makes the moment especially unsettling isn't just the voice, it's that the response almost sounds reassuring, as though whatever spoke wasn't simply making a noise, but reacting to what she just said. Some viewers believe the voice may have come from another room in the house, a nearby television, or even audio distortion caused by the phone's microphone. Low-light recordings can sometimes compress sound in unusual ways, making distant voices seem much closer than they actually are. But across several traditions, witnesses have warned against responding to unexplained voices heard in empty houses at night, believing that once something acknowledges you, and you acknowledge it in return, the encounter can escalate beyond simple noises. Whether this was a trick of acoustics, an unseen person elsewhere in the house, or something much harder to explain remains unknown. But one question has lingered with viewers ever since. If she really was home alone, who answered her? This next clip comes from a home security camera recording a kitchen in the middle of the night. No people, no pets, no movement of any kind. The house is quiet, the kitchen is empty, and a large watermelon is sitting near the edge of the counter, right where someone left it. Nothing happens for the first few seconds. Then something changes. Watch. The watermelon rolls forward on its own and tips off the counter, shattering on the floor. No one nearby, no cat jumping up, no vibration you can point to. It just moves. Some believe this is classic poltergeist activity, objects displaced by an unseen force with no mechanical explanation. Others think whatever is in that house wanted to be noticed. Either way, the kitchen stays completely still after, as if nothing happened at all. This next footage was captured by a security camera inside what appears to be a retail convenience store. The camera overlooks the rear cooler aisle with refrigerated drinks lining one wall, snack displays nearby, and a frozen slushy machine sitting quietly in the corner. Whoever reviewed the footage was simply checking the security recordings, never expecting to find anything unusual. Watch. For a brief moment, what appears to be a human hand seems to emerge from inside the slushy machine before disappearing again. According to the person who shared the footage, they tried to find a reasonable explanation first. They considered whether it could have been overflowing product, a loose internal component, or even a trick of the camera. But after replaying the clip repeatedly, they remained convinced it looked unmistakably like a human hand. What made the footage even stranger, they said, was the layout of the store. The wall directly behind the machine leads into a dining area, not another room where someone could secretly reach inside the equipment. And with the machine operating during business hours, the idea of someone placing a hand inside it without anyone noticing seems highly unlikely. Of course, skeptics argue that low-resolution security footage is notorious for creating convincing illusions. So was this nothing more than an unfortunate visual illusion? Or did the security camera capture something paranormal? Now, in this next clip, security cameras inside Conejos County Hospital in Colorado captured something that has fueled stories people around the building have been telling for years. The footage comes from one of the hospital's quiet corridors where little seems to happen after dark. According to people familiar with the property, one entire wing has been closed off for some time. Even so, staff and visitors have claimed that late at night they sometimes hear what sounds like children running through the hallways, laughing, talking, and playing in an area where no one is supposed to be. Watch.
It comes from way back there. And see, it's dark back there, so how are we able to see it? See?
Oh my gosh. Alright, I quit.
Well, then it stalled right there. Do you see it? Go show that to Dr. Nelson. Be like, I think we need some medication. We're either seeing things or it's really there. Call them crazy house. All three of us.
The footage appears to show small, child-sized figures moving, and hospitals have long attracted paranormal legends, largely because they are places where countless moments of joy, grief, recovery, and loss have unfolded over decades. In many traditions, children are believed to leave behind what paranormal researchers call residual hauntings, not conscious spirits, but echoes of past moments replaying over and over, almost like an imprint left on a location. Whether these figures were simply camera artifacts, distant people distorted by perspective, or something connected to the stories surrounding the abandoned wing remains impossible to say. This next clip was captured by a home security camera overlooking a quiet driveway late at night. The woman who shared the footage explained that she'd simply stepped outside to feed her cat before walking over to her car to grab something from the trunk. Nothing about the evening felt unusual at the time. Watch.
Ready?
Before she gets to the back of the vehicle, a figure appears near the front of the car. What's especially unsettling is that it doesn't immediately move. It remains completely still for several seconds, almost as if it's watching her from the other side of the vehicle. Then, without warning, it suddenly darts across the driveway and disappears from view. According to the woman who posted the footage, she didn't see anyone while she was outside. It was only after reviewing the security camera that she noticed what looked like a person standing silently near the front of her car. If it was paranormal, it raises the obvious question of what exactly she captured. But if it was an actual person, that may be even more disturbing. Either way, the thought of something silently watching from the darkness, only revealing itself after the fact, is enough to leave anyone looking over their shoulder the next time they step outside at night. Now, in this next clip, a man named Ryan is in his kitchen late at night, using a tablet running a paranormal investigation app to attempt contact with whatever might be lingering inside his home. And from the very first question, the device starts answering back. He props the tablet on the counter, its screen showing a black and white night vision feed of an empty room with dark wood floors and 2 fireplaces, and a woman's voice, barely above a whisper, urges him to ask it something. He asks if it's a little girl, then a little boy, and something responds. Watch.
Booga booga booga. Hey. Hey.
Ask it.
No. Oh, there's an orb.
Are you a little girl? Are you a little boy? Did you live here before? How about this? 2 ha's for yes, 1 ha for no. Okay? Okay. Are you a little boy? Are you a little girl? Are you grown? Okay. Is this your house? Is that your room? Are you a man? Are you a woman? No, you don't do that. Are you stuck here? Are you trying to get to the other side? How long have you been stuck here? More than 10 years? More than 20 years?
What you hear coming through that tablet is hard to categorize. Deep, breathy, guttural moans that arrive almost every time Ryan asks a direct question, and if you listen to how they vary in length, you'll notice he's actually managed to build a working yes or no system with it. 2 sounds for yes, 1 for no. The entity, if that's what it is, claims to be an adult, claims the house is its own, claims to have been stuck there for somewhere between 10 and 15 years. And when Ryan asks if it wants to join its family, the device responds with one of the most intense, multi-part sounds in the entire session. That moment hits differently. Ryan even introduces himself by name, and the thing on the other end responds. There's a brief exchange where he asks whether his son should be afraid, and the device first gives a short, sharp ha, the signal for no, then immediately follows it with a long, intense moan, which is a flat-out contradiction that Ryan doesn't ignore. Some viewers think the app is simply generating randomized audio responses, and that any perceived pattern is the brain doing what it always does, finding meaning in noise. Skeptics point to the fact that these spirit box-style apps are widely available, and their output can sound eerily responsive without any actual contact being made. But others aren't so sure, especially given how consistently the responses align with Ryan's questions throughout a nearly 7-minute session without a single obvious misfire. The final exchange is the one that lingers. Ryan tells whatever's there that they're going to take a break, and the device answers with a long, almost musical moan, like it understood exactly what he said. Whether that's a grieving presence or a very convincing algorithm, I'll leave that up to you to decide. This footage dates back to August 2025 and was captured by a security camera inside a family home. A woman who's been fighting a slow, exhausting mystery within her own walls. One that didn't begin with terror, but with small things that felt off. At first, it was easy to ignore. Toys would turn up in strange places, nowhere near where her child left them. Doors she distinctly remembers locking the night before would be standing open by morning. But what unsettled her most was something harder to explain. Every now and then, the house would suddenly fill with a smell, sharp, sterile, like medicine, or cold metal, with no source she could identify. For nearly 3 years, she tried to approach it rationally, but nothing stopped the feeling that something wasn't right. Eventually, she installed security cameras throughout the house and began checking the footage whenever she could. On August 23, 2025, the cameras finally captured something she wasn't prepared for. The first clip was recorded while her young son was asleep and she was taking a bath. The second clip is even stranger. It was early in the morning, and if you pay close attention, you'll notice that she enters the frame from the opposite direction the figure had just been moving, meaning whatever appears on camera wasn't following her. It was already there. She's hoping someone could help debunk it or point her toward a real explanation. So, what do you think?